everybody. Welcome to our weekly show, Kwite, where we are connecting with entrepreneurs on the continent of Africa. We want to find out what are they up to, what are they doing, how are they moving and changing the world, and what do they see as a future for the continent. We are here to educate, inspire, and entertain by introducing you to some of the future thought leaders of Africa. Today, we have the wonderful, the beautiful Leanne Dlamini with us today. She's going to be telling us about her beautiful movement called End Girl Hate. She's going to also be telling us about her experiences as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as a thought leader in Africa. And we're going to be hearing from her today. So look forward to that. Hello, Leanne. Welcome to our show.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. Thanks so much for making time. I know it's a little early there and it's getting into the holiday season.
It's fine. You're so welcome.
So how are things shaping up for the holiday season in Johannesburg?
Wow, we're slowly easing into it. It is a little crazy right now because everyone's going into the Christmas madness. So the malls and the stores are quite full. Everyone's trying to get their gifts sorted and make sure that Christmas Day is good. But I'm not in the city. I'm by the seaside, so I'm ready to just relax and regroup once again.
Oh, excellent. So I'm taking it all your shopping is sorted out, all your Christmas gifts are done?
All my shopping is sorted. I made sure that I did all of that before I came on holiday, so I'm good. I can relax now.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, Leanne, do you want to give our viewers just a bit of background on who you are and
Sure.
sort of some of the things that you're doing?
Right. So I was born and raised in Johannesburg, South Africa. Spent all of my life there until I got married. I am a singer by profession. Music is my first love and what I'm passionate about. So that's really where I started and where I got my foundation, I think, to be where I am. So I used to be a backing vocalist for a South African singer called Loiso Bala, as well as a guy called Danny K. He's a singer in SA too. And that's really how I got my foot in the music industry and entertainment door. The rest, yeah, it's been such an incredible journey. I then went on to record my own album in 2005. And here I am now in 2017, 3 albums later. So I think that really was the foundation for me to get who Leanne is out there. And I think right now I'm really, really living my calling. And as a result of my music and people kind of knowing who Leanne was, End Girl Hate was born. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, and I am passionate about women. I fight for female rights, for women, for equality. I'm an advocate for all things female. And yeah, here I am still on the continent. Like I said, I did travel a bit. My husband and I then moved to Dubai after we got married, spent some time in America too, but we're back in SA now with our daughter.
Back in SA. Leanne, I want to hear a bit more about your early career, about the music.
Right.
Now, I come from Zimbabwe myself,
right.
And I know how that is a very challenging career path. It's not a career path a lot of us are raised to aspire to. So how were you able to, as an African woman on the continent, make a real career out of the music industry for yourself? You said you have 3 albums. Tell us about those early days. How did you get started in music?
Wow, how I got started. So like I said, I started off as a backing vocalist, and even to just become a backing vocalist for the right artist can be really challenging. So I consider myself extremely blessed to have been in church that day when Loiso and his manager were there. And it just happened that they were looking for a female artist to do a duet with Loiso on the album he was currently recording. So, I mean, that is really how it started for me. They then approached me and we went into the studio and created a really, really beautiful song. But I mean, it doesn't happen like that for everyone. And even then, that was me getting my foot in the door. But I literally had to get my whole body inside and push down the door to get into the industry. Like you said, it is really challenging, especially for females, and especially genre of music that I was doing. So I was doing, and I'm still doing R&B, which is not, it is a popular genre on the continent of Africa, but I don't know what it is. Our people would much rather buy an Alicia Keys album than they would a Leanne Dlamini album. For some reason, like Alicia Keys seems to be more authentic to them when I'm doing the exact same thing, and I could even be doing it better, but they're not as supportive of their own people for some reason. So
it's the I call it the Americanization of the world.
Yes.
Even here in Australia, where I live, you find that American pop culture is more valued than. So I think that's a global phenomenon. Now I'm interested in, and this may just be a perception on my part, so you may have to correct me, but there's a lot of stigma associated with women that go into the music industry. There's certain perceptions about, the values of girls who are in this industry, which I think is completely absurd, but as a culture, in Africa, that tended to be some of the murmurings that you would hear about. I had friends who were artists who were very interested in that profession, but it was always looked down upon. What was your experience with that, and how did you overcome that side of things, if indeed that was an experience for you?
Wow. So it was definitely part of my experience, and like you said, for some silly reason, people have their own perceptions of what happens in the industry, especially with females entering. There's always a who was she with, or how did she get in there? What is she doing? What is she doing? And that is also a part of what I speak about when we touch on end girl hate. But for me, it was quite challenging with that, because I come from a very church girl background, if that's what you want to call it. So like I said, I went from the choir to singing R&B, and my answer to all of that is we're all in the world, but we're not of the world. So you need to set yourself apart as an artist, as a female. Don't compromise, and that's what I think I pretty much did. I didn't settle to be just any old pop artist wearing whatever the label wanted me to wear. I stood my ground, and I think as females now, we've kind of broken that perception, because you can still keep your clothes on and just sing what you're passionate about singing and sing a certain genre. And I think we are slowly but surely breaking down those walls. It is challenging though, because you do have, on the flip side, other pop artists who are taking us 5 steps back by what they're wearing and what they're doing. But there are a few of us who are really still trying to just make beautiful music, and that's what it's about for many of us.
Yeah. And how is the diversity of music in Africa? Now, music is, for me, everything we do at home, whenever I'm at home, is done with song and dance and food. And so music is very much a part of our culture. So, it almost is interesting that we have this stark contrast of where, we don't encourage our children, we don't encourage our girls to go into something that is so, a cornerstone of everything that we do. I mean, funerals, we bury our dead with music. Anything we do with music. So I guess looking at the positive side of our culture and music, and you have R&B, could you sort of give the audience a bit of a flavor of the diversity of the music industry in terms of Africa, the different genres that you've come across, and just I tell people all the time that Africa is this melting pot of every single thing that is imaginable. There's nothing linear about it, but you give people an appreciation from a music perspective, just the diversity.
Wow. So I think you touched on it as well. Music really is, it's part of our culture. It's part of who we are as Africans. We sing and dance when we're happy. We sing and dance when we're sad. So it really is part of who we are. But just to touch on a few different genres that we have. There is Afro pop. So that's pretty much pop, but sung in vernacular languages. So whatever language you speak, whichever country you come from, mixed with a bit of a pop sound. We have urban adult contemporary. So it's kind of a bit of a jazzy sound, but still mixed with our African flavor, which is incredible. From Angola, we're touching on Zouk music, which I incorporated into my last album, actually. So Zouk Kizomba.
I didn't get that last one, the Angola one.
It's called Zouk or Kizomba.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually very Caribbean.
Okay.
Very, very, yes, but mixed with our African feel. So we're still incorporating African sounds. We're still singing in our local languages, which makes it really, really beautiful. Then you have Kwaito, which is very popular here in South Africa. Great to dance and party to. It really is an interesting sound, but it gets us moving. Jazz is still very huge over here. You have people like Monks, Bongile Kumalo, Brayu Masikela, who are still the pioneers for jazz music, but the younger artists are really, really taking over as well. And then I think obviously your DJs, like globally, DJs are taking over, but in Africa, we're incorporating house music, we're incorporating all of our African sounds, and it's really, really beautiful to hear and to see. So there is a vast variety of what's happening over here.
Oh, brilliant. Now, are you a live performing artist? Have you performed live?
Yes, I am. I'm a live performing artist, so I do either backtrack shows or band, and we travel wherever people need us to be. I prefer arranging my own shows, but I do get booked for a lot of stuff. Corporates, club gigs, wherever you need me, I'm there. And I've started incorporating my show to all in Girl Hate events too. So whenever I'm hosting anything, I try to incorporate my music too.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Now, how do you manage that? You said you're a wife, you're a mother, and you're an artist. How do you do that juggling act?
Oh my gosh, with difficulty, but we do it. And I think many women, no matter what profession you're in, if you're a wife and a mom, you're juggling so many things, or even just a mom. I take my hat to all moms out there, trying to work and raise a family. It's so challenging, but I do it with support. I think I really, really do think that in Africa, we're so blessed to be able to have help, the help that we have. I don't know how you're doing it over there in Australia. My brother used to live there.
My son is in the background, and I'm like, don't make a noise, mommy's busy at the moment. And it's school holidays, and these school holidays are 8.5 weeks, nearly 9 weeks long.
Wow.
So, and there is no CC here, there's nothing.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. And that's part of why I had to come home. I'm like, if I'm going to raise my children and try and have a career, I need to have that support. I couldn't do it anywhere else. So I really take my hat off to you, because I know how challenging it is. But like I said, my mom doesn't live too far from me. We have an amazing nanny who's been with us since our firstborn was 8 months old. She lives with us. So whenever I need to kind of pass on some of the responsibility, they're right there, and I have the freedom to be able to do what I need to do. So yeah, and prayer helps. Just asking God to give me strength, it helps.
How many children do you have?
I've got 2, an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh, brilliant. You're doing a fantastic job. Now, tell me a bit about your overseas experience. Now, you mentioned that you and your husband went overseas for a bit. Do you want to tell us a bit about that? Where did you go? What was the purpose? What were you trying to do there?
Sure. So soon after we got married, my husband was then transferred to Dubai, where we are pretty much in the same industry. He's in the music industry too, but just on the business side of things. So my husband used to do music festivals in Dubai, where they would book artists to come to Dubai for some of the big festivals that they have there. So it was a blessing in disguise, and I used to always get booked for some of the festivals that they had. So I've performed in Dubai too, which was incredible. But we went to Dubai to really just work on our careers. My husband did the shows, I performed too, and then we spent some time in LA. He was with the same company, but I think they tried to go more into TV and movies. So that's what he spent some time in LA doing and researching. And while I was in LA, I then recorded with some incredible producers. I worked with a guy called Antonio Dixon, who has worked with Chris Brown, Jennifer Hudson, even Beyonce. So, and Tony Braxton, he worked with Tony Braxton quite often. So that's what I did when I was there. Every time I was in LA or while we were there, I would try and work with Antonio. So I've got quite a great repertoire of songs that I've done from working with him. We then decided, yeah, it was really good. While we were in Dubai, actually, we decided to go and spend some time with my husband's mom, who lives in the UK. He's from Zimbabwe, but born and raised in London, my husband, and we decided to go and spend some time with my mother-in-law. And while I was there, it just so happened that they were doing auditions for the X Factor. And so I kind of fell into that too. I'm very spontaneous. Whatever's happening around me music-wise, I try and get in. And I thought,
what was that experience like? The X Factor?
It was incredible. It really was one of the most challenging experiences of my life, but really, really good. And I think I was at a point in my career, I'd recorded 2 albums at that point already. And I just thought, I'm never going to get this opportunity again. I can't really enter these competitions back home because I am a recording artist, but no one knows me in England, so let me give it a try. And I think we all get to a point in our career sometimes where we feel like we're not moving and it's stagnant. You just need something to push you out of that comfort zone. So I did it, and I made it to the top 20 of the girls category. So it was really, really, really cool. I loved it.
Oh, excellent. And did you meet the famous Simon Cowell? Did you get to that far?
Simon wasn't in our year, unfortunately. It was before he started going back to the UK, yeah.
Oh, excellent. No, that's good. Now, Leanne, do you want to tell us a bit about, so you're a recording artist, you're on this journey, you and your husband have traveled the world, you're having your babies. How did you make the transition to start the female empowerment movement? What influences, what led you into that space?
Right. So at that point, we had decided to move back to Africa. We had our first daughter already, and we just knew that Africa was where we needed to be at the time, not only for me and needing support, but things were changing. This was around the time of the World Cup, and we could see that a lot was going to happen, and there was a lot that we could be a part of to grow Africa, our continent and our country. So we decided to go back home, and just me being a mum and raising daughters, my experience, especially in the entertainment industry and many industries, no matter what career path you're in, you experience some sort of wall that women seem to put up. So I would go to an event and I could immediately feel that I was being sized up. I would walk into a room you know that someone is judging you. People are looking at you from head to toe. What hair is that on her head? What hair is she wearing? What bag is she wearing? Her shoes. And I really hated feeling like that. I didn't want to feel like we were being judged. I wanted women to feel secure in who they are and know that you can walk into a room boldly and proudly and know that you're not being judged. And as a mom, I didn't want my daughters to have that experience. I wanted to really change their mindsets and how they interacted with other girls and females moving forward in their lives. And that's how End Girl Hate was born.
Mm-hmm. Why End Girl Hate?
Wow. End Girl Hate really was just the hashtag that I used after my quote. So how it started was, yes, yeah. So it was really, it started on social media, I would say. And it was just positive quotes and inspirational messages to women, kind of like queens see queens, hashtag women for women, hashtag End Girl Hate, and little things like we rise by lifting others, hashtag women for women, hashtag End Girl Hate. And I saw that women then started reposting, retweeting, and tagging me in posts, and they would always say End Girl Hate, and End Girl Hate seemed to be more prominent and what got the message across, because that really is what we're trying to do. We're trying to end girl hate. And that is how the name for this movement was born. I call it a movement because it really is just moving across the country, across the continent, and slowly but surely across the globe.
Excellent. Well, yes, we're aware of it, and we're loving what we're seeing. So tell us a bit about what End Girl Hate is all about. What do you do? What is it that you do?
Right. So like I said, I just started End Girl Hate on social media, and it was simply just quotes to encourage women and girls to let them know that we can support each other. But it's now moved into something so much bigger, and holistically, we take care of the sisterhood, take care of women and our. So from empowerment conferences and master classes that speak about vision and goals, because at the beginning of this year, actually, I was like, I would like to do a vision board, but I don't really know how, and how do I execute all these goals and these plans that I have in my head? How do I go through it? So I actually sat down with someone who deals with vision and goals and how to execute them. And I was like, if I can do this and I needed to know this information, I'm sure there are other women like me who need to know it. So it went from just being encouraging messages to now really growing all of womanity, as I call it, and really. Oh,
womanity! I love that word. I've never heard that before. I'm going to post that. I'm going to steal
that. I use it often, and everyone's like, "What is the word?" But I think it's such a cool word. Womanity.
It's a fabulous word.
No, I love using it, and that's what I'm all about. What End Girl Hate is all about, just advancing womanity and growing the females. And so it went from simply encouraging women and supporting them to now empowering them in every aspect of their life. And that's what I ultimately see End Girl Hate and Women for Women as, empowering women in all areas of their life. Next year, we're looking at doing a finance masterclass for women too, because I feel like I think that's going to be really incredible, because women.
I think that is going to be brilliant. That is so needed.
Right. It really is. It really is. And I've seen so many devastating situations with a friend who had lost her husband this year, and she did not even know how to read a bank statement. And I'm like, if that's you, how many other women out there are like that? Do you know what I mean? And so
read a bank statement. Wow.
Yeah, she didn't know where to start, what was happening, just because her husband had been so involved and he had taken over running the finances of their home completely. And I just thought that us women, we need to take charge of every area of our lives and take responsibility and be in charge. And so that's part of what End Girl Hate will be doing in 2018. But it's really just about getting the message out that we can support each other. We go into schools too and speak to girls about bullying and where that stems from, because it's a huge problem. It's becoming more and more of a problem in Africa and globally too, because I've seen stories happening outside of SA and the continent, and I know that it is a huge problem. So just spreading the message of girls supporting one another, and it really does stem from self-esteem. So I go into these schools and speak to them about their self-esteem, and that you don't have to compete with the girl sitting. God made you in such a unique way. There is none like you. So celebrate who you are.
Yeah, I had an experience a while, it's a few years back now, where
Right.
I was doing a particular assignment, and this was taking me into a very new venture. And I was, you know, I was a young girl, and I'm coming from Australia, and I was in my motherland, Zimbabwe, and I was doing doing a pitch for a project, and I had done this pitch to the CEO of a certain company, and I was, you know, the lead candidate to do this project. Right. And so the CEO was so supportive, and the COO was very supportive. They were both male, and they were like, okay, you need to present this to our board of directors. The board of directors were all women. And so when I was doing this, you know, like how I'm interviewing you, I was doing it over Skype, not over Zoom, but I was doing the board presentation over Skype because I was still in Australia, and you know, I was en route to go to Zimbabwe, so I was doing my pre-pitch, and I thought, yes, power to me, I've got an all-girls board, the sisterhood is on my side, yes, this is going to be all good. What was interesting and what that taught me, and what I really loved about what you're doing within Girl Hate, was here was me, I was young, these women were so much older than me, and I was really looking forward to this whole sisterhood support. And I'm sure you can guess where this is going. It didn't come, it wasn't forthcoming. I was seen as a threat, and basically I was cut down to size. And my niece was facilitating the workshop on the other side for me, and she kept texting me saying, Auntie, speak in Shona. Now, I do know how to speak my vernacular language very fluently, but I have been bilingual since birth. Everything I do in the business world is done in English. I do not have a very heavy Shona accent. So, you know, there's a certain name for girls who speak like, so all of that started to come through. And it was interesting, as far away as Australia, I could feel the energy had changed in the room. Like beforehand, when the three males were talking to me, it was all, this is amazing. Somebody, you know, who's in Australia is actually thinking of coming to do this. And you know, we really want to get you on board. Let's get the rest of the board. And I got no help from the sisterhood, none at all. So when I saw what you were doing, I loved it because of it resonated so well with me, in the sense of that personal experience, and I'm sure everybody has a story like that, but it was also how, yes, we have this massive inequality between us as you know, between us and men, but we as women are not doing ourselves a favor because we are not endearing and we're not supporting one another. We're the majority, by the way. We outnumber men. We give birth to men. We raise men. Like, we're in control of the ship. And I'm like, how on earth are we being marginalized of a ship that we're in control of? And part of it to me was really on how we treat one another. And what really resonated with me when I was referred to the work that you were doing, and I was looking at the merchandising you were presenting, I was looking at, you know, all the stuff you were doing on social media. And that's why I asked what sparked End Girl Hate, was I saw more, less as a message to men, but more as a message to us as women, because I think we are doing more damage to the sisterhood on our own. The men don't need to do anything. We're imploding ourselves.
We really are our own worst enemy when it comes to the sisterhood. And I see that so much, especially in the corporate world. And when women see someone getting a promotion, or they see her as a threat, like you. The women they didn't want you there because they saw you as a threat. But if their mindsets had been changed and they saw you as this woman that we're pulling in here, let's get our sister to the top, because as a result, she will pull us up. And I can pull up the next person. Let's at least get her in the door. But women don't see it like that. And so that is what really the mindset that I'm trying to put out there. And I think slowly but surely it's working. Women don't understand that men are fighting for each other. When they're on the golf course having these little, that's their meetings, and that's how they're strategizing, how we're getting this person, how we're going to do that, how we do that. Us women don't do that. It's about when someone gets some sort of promotion or really advances in whatever they're doing, oh, so and they slept with so and so to get there. When what if that woman really was just working hard? It's so sad.
It is. And what I love about your message and your energy, Leanne, is that you come across so genuine, and, you know, your smile, everything about you is really infectious. And, you know, it's just, you know, it's so heartening to see that kind of energy going out and resonating into the world. And I'm sure, you know, people watching this this interview with you can just see that, you know, how you're coming across and how you're passionate about really us as women. How do we get to that sort of next level? How did you find yourself when you took yourself out of the social media realm and you started going into schools, you started hosting conferences? How did you find, how were you received? How was your message being received in a live environment? Because I know in the social media environment, I mean, you can filter, you can filter out a lot of things, but how were you received in the live environment?
You know, when I first started out going into people's space, the workspace, the school space, people were very quiet and hesitant. They're like, who is this person coming in here trying to tell us about ending girl hate and women supporting women? But I did find that even in the midst of them being as quiet and not responsive, the response that I got after was incredible. So people would then send me emails or Facebook inboxes. So they weren't as appreciative and approachable up front. But when I went home after the first 2 meetings or that I had with people, it was incredible. So, and for me, that was a challenge too. I really had to put myself out there. I was like, God, what are you making me do? I'm a singer. I would much rather sing 100 songs than speak for 10 minutes. Literally, that's how I was. I remember my manager always used to say to me at the beginning of my career, you need to speak in between songs. Tell people what the songs are about, how the journey came about of writing these songs. And I'm like, no, I just want to sing. And really, I am really being pulled. This journey has been incredible for me because now I'm really being pushed out of my comfort zone. And to speak so much and so often has been, it's been a challenge for me too, but the response now, it has been incredible. I really just want, and I am a very, very spiritual person, so I'm always praying that my heart remains pure and that I really do practice what I preach, because people can tell when you're not authentic or not. And this really, yes, they can, they really can. And this really is my message. I'm really passionate about the sisterhood, and I really just want for us to grow as women, grow together. And people saw that my heart was true, and I'm connecting with so many incredible women who have the same passion, who are just like me. And it's incredible. I mean, look at you, here you are.
Oh, this is really like, it's surreal sitting here talking to you, because you know, everything that you're saying, you know, really resonates to the core of who I am as a person and everything that I believe. So whenever I encounter that other side of us, and that side of us where, you know, it's kind of like, okay, so breathe in and trying not to take that personally. Like, it really isn't about me, because I also don't know, because a lot of us, you know, as women, we talked about, you're a wife, you're a mom, you're juggling so many things, you're juggling 1,000,001 things. Most men are just juggling their job, really. And you know, as women, we're always juggling like no disrespect to our brothers, I love them dearly, but you know, 90% of the time you're really just juggling getting to work. Somebody has made sure that, you know, you've got food on your plate. Somebody has made sure that, you know, your house is clean, or there is somebody somewhere worrying about your welfare. And you know, if you have the privilege of sharing your life with a partner, that partner usually, not always, because that dynamic is changing. You know, there's a lot more. I remember in my antenatal group, we had the husband is the one who took maternity leave, and the wife went back to work after 2 weeks. And so, and that was amazing. That was a beautiful experience. And his name was Chris. He came along, you know, to a lot of our, you know, coffees and stuff like that. And he did all the stuff that the mom was doing. And he loved it. He didn't want to go back to work. So he loved it. So that
let's try getting an African husband to do the same.
And that's where I was going with that, which I was saying, you know, for the sisterhood to really thrive. I think some of that resentment that I find we experience as women is that, you know, we don't get a lot of support from our spouses. And support in the sense that, you know, the dynamic has changed in the world in terms of, you know, women are more in the workforce than they ever were before. And our African men are very willing to accept that. And I'm making a gross generalization because a lot of our brothers are doing exceptionally good things, and we love you and we applaud you and we want more from you. But there's still a vast majority who still feel that, you know, helping in the home demeans them somehow, emasculates them. And so how are you dealing that? How are you dealing with that through End Girl Hate and through a lot of the work that you're doing? How are you talking to the men to get them to understand that for the sisterhood to arise, you know, and be all it can be, the brotherhood also needs to arise?
Exactly. And you know, for that, I am living through my example, and I use my husband a lot in whatever it is I'm doing. And I literally have to show other husbands and wives what I do, how I live my life, how my husband and I do certain things. And people really are taking our lead from there, because I need to show them that this is how you can do it. You don't have to be this powerful businessman and just sit on your pedestal while everything happens around you. You can be as involved as possible. So I show them that my husband is very, very involved. I mean, he does the girls' hair when I can't. He cooks every now and then when he can, when he's got time. But my husband is very involved, and I tell women that, and I tell the husbands that as much as possible, that we need your support, and in exchange, we will give you more. A happy wife really is a happy life. So help us, and we will do more than we can to help you. And I've seen and I've heard so many incredible stories from women saying that their husbands are also changing their mindsets now, because they're seeing what I'm doing and what others are doing, and they know that they can do it all. It doesn't emasculate them at all. So men in Africa are definitely getting more involved, especially the younger men. You find with the older generation, they struggle a bit because they are so set in their ways. But as women raising boys now, we need to, as much as we're empowering our girls, we need to raise our boys in a certain way too. And when I'm finding that with friends who have sons, they say that they're struggling with their boys because the women with girls, we're raising such strong girls that the boys don't know what to do with these independent little girls. Do you know what I mean? And they end up dating them and then eventually marrying someone who is so strong-willed and empowered and independent. You can't deal with her as a boy. So we really need to change how we're raising our boys too. And as a result, I think that will really change the legacy of how men are now.
Yeah, I think the key, from my perspective, the key is that the rise of the sisterhood is not taking away from the brotherhood in any way, shape, or form. It's that we're all growing and we're wanting to achieve our maximum potential. And how do we do that together? But you are right in the sense that there's a lot of girl empowerment, and being a mother of a son, I don't have a daughter, I have a son, looking around for some strong male role models to do like what you're doing. For boys is a lot harder now to find than it is for girls. There's a lot of support for, you know, the women empowerment movement. There's a lot of awareness. But yeah, the boy movement, I feel, you know, that's an area where I think definitely the men in our circles who are, you know, in that space, I'm looking forward to connecting with somebody who's doing, you know, some really good work in that, in that space. Is there a story that, you know, that you can share without breaking anyone's confidence, that really you can say has inspired you, that you've come across in your work, that you've seen, you know, wow, this has been a real transformation from the work that you're doing?
Wow. So some of the work that I've seen that has really manifested and been a success story So especially with the master classes that we did with
Yeah.
End Hate, I have a story about a woman who came to our masterclass. She was going through a really, really tough time with her husband. She was in an abusive marriage and was at the point of, do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? And she had kind of let herself go and was just traveling wherever her husband was, put her career and her needs to the side to just fully support him. And she came because she wanted to know, or really was just looking for some direction and some clarity as to what it is she needs to do. And as we went through the class, I could see her face almost change and some of that confidence, hope coming back into her eyes. And she has now moved on. She's moved back home to her home city in Pretoria from Cape Town. She's now started her clothing line because she's always wanted to have a clothing line. So slowly but surely, she started her clothing line, and she sells kimonos. She was actually at GlamCon, which is our pop-up shop event that we host for female entrepreneurs. So I had a group of female entrepreneurs come in with their brands to really promote it and network with others. And I had women come in and shop. So really just to boost your business. She came in with her brand. She's also started her Care for Life Foundation, which is doing incredibly well. But it's just stories like that that are inspiring, and just to see women actually take the lead and get that hope back. And there are so many other stories like that. I mean, another woman actually also from Cape Town, she went on to open a modeling school in her township in Cape Town. She didn't know how she was going to do it. But what we always say to these women who are having doubts and who don't know what to do, we say to them, just start. You'll figure everything out along the way, but stop doubting and hesitating yourself, because you'll be procrastinating for the rest of your life. So literally just start, whatever it is. Sis, just take the bull by the horns and go for it. What's the worst that can happen? And I love the quote that says, what if I fall? Oh, my darling, but what if you fly? Yes. Always come back with something positive, but you could fly. What if I fail? But you could win. You could pass. So just go for it. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, you really can. You can achieve it all.
No, definitely. And that message really comes loud and clear in your message. Tell me a bit about the entrepreneurship opportunities that you're seeing on the continent. Like what opportunities are you seeing in Africa that maybe, you know, when you and your husband said, look, we want to go back home, we want to be involved, it was obviously because you had identified, you know, that you could make a difference, that basically, you know, so what are some of those opportunities?
Wow. So I'm all about entrepreneurship, whatever it is you want to do. And for me, I started the merchandising line for End Hate. So it was t-shirts, it's notebooks, it's mugs, and even just getting into that field was a true eye-opener for me. And now I know that there's so much that we can actually do. I see young women who I went to school with in the energy space. It's so it really is incredible. I have a friend actually that I work very closely with in her village. She comes from a little village in Rustenburg, close to Sun City. And she saw children walking from her village every day and then coming back home, having to do schoolwork in the dark because their homes had very little to no electricity. And the kids were as a result, because they were having to do their homework in the dark. So what she did is she created a school bag that girls and boys get to wear to school, but inside is a solar panel light that recharges as you walk to and from school just by the sunlight. And you get home and you use that light inside the bag to do your homework at night. And so just little things like that that people are just taking and running with them. So like I said, energy is doing really amazingly well. Merchandise, clothing, retail, people are really getting into that space. In terms of business, wow, there's so much. In Africa, mining is really huge right now. So everyone's into the mining space. But whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's beauty, whether it's accessories, there's so much to do. I'm very much into the beauty space too.
Yes.
But yeah, there's so much we can absolutely do. And so for us to just get together, put our heads together and see how we get our businesses out there, we absolutely can do it.
Excellent. Now, one of the things we didn't touch on when we talked about your music was what drives, you know, the inspiration behind your songs. Like, what is really the message that you're trying to get out with some of your songs?
Right. So my songs and my inspiration and the message for me is always, I try to really be constant in my message of love and hope. And that for me is what my foundation is. So I'm always trying to give people back the hope and let them see that love is still out there, and love is real, and love is what drives you and what will push you and get you through at the end of the day. I really do take a lot of the songs that I write almost 90% of my songs. And it's really based on what I'm seeing around me. So some of it might be personal experiences, some might be what I see a friend go through, a family member, someone around me, but I just try to be as truthful as possible. And because I know that someone else is probably in that situation and needs to hear that message. So I try to be as real as I possibly can with my music, and life experiences really is what drives me.
Okay. What future do you hope for your daughter?
Wow. So I've got 2 girls, like I said, and the future that I hope for them is that they can see that there is no limit to whatever they want to do, that they can absolutely achieve all of their goals and dreams, go out there and conquer whatever it is, no matter where it is in the world. You go and you just be the amazing and strong and powerful, empowered woman that you are. And that's the message that I always try to tell them, that you don't have to compete with anyone. God has your path and your destiny set out for you already, but you have to choose it, and you have to follow that path, and you have to go out there and get what God has for you. And that's my message for my girls. And I think slowly but surely I'm getting that message across. They're still quite young, so it's a message that I have to preach very often. But for my girls and for every woman or girl listening out there, just go out there and really live the life that you were meant to live. Stop playing small and bringing yourself down and pulling yourself down and speaking yourself into the state of depression, but go out there and live the life that you were meant to live, because you can.
Brilliant. Now, before I ask my final question, where can people find you? Where can people download your music?
Wow, my music is on iTunes, on all digital music platforms actually. So I'm on iTunes, I am on Deezer, Spotify, so find me there. If you're in SA, you can find me at all reliable music stores. The album is out too. And the current album,
what's the album?
Warrior.
And what's the inspiration behind Warrior?
Wow. So I think the past 3 years for me, it took me 3 years to record this album, and it really was a tough journey, not so much physically, but emotionally and spiritually. I had lost my dad in between that time, and it was really just a challenge trying to push through, and many other issues that came and I was faced. It didn't look like the album was going to get recorded at some point. I changed record labels, so the devil really did try to throw everything in front of me. But I just said, I am not going to let anything stop me. I'm going to fight through this, no matter what it is that I'm going through, and I will come out on the other side victorious. And I see us women as warriors too, and that's how I came up with the album title, because we really are. We can go to bed one night crying ourselves to sleep. We wipe those tears off in the morning. We wake up and we go out there with a smile on our face, and we are stronger than we ever were. So it really is dedicated to each and every woman out there, just to let them know that they are warriors and to fight on whatever it is you're going through.
Excellent. And obviously you've got your Facebook page for End Girl Hate, you've got your website.
Absolutely. So we have the Facebook page, End Girl Hate. Find us there. We're on Instagram too, End Girl Hate. And then you can find my personal profile too, Leanne Dlamini. I am on Facebook and Instagram as well as Twitter. Just go and look. Instagram, look for I am Leanne D. And I post a lot about my music and End Girl Hate on both my personal and business profile. So please go ahead and look out there for us, End Girl Hate, Leanne Dlamini. And I hope that you're inspired by what you see.
Excellent. So my final question, Leanne, is I guess part of my the mission with this initiative on my part is really that wanting to create that personal connection. What opportunities do you see for us in the diaspora who've chosen to live out of Africa, connecting with people like you in Africa? You know, what are some of the things that you're seeing working? How do you see that coming about?
Wow. So I think pretty much what you're doing now, we need to make the connection first. So thank you so much for reaching out. And I think there really are so many ways in which we can collaborate as long as there's synergy and our hearts and missions are aligned with what you're doing. I could take you guys into the space that I'm in, whatever it is I'm doing, whoever it is I'm working with, and we could see if there's something you could do over in Australia to help us over here in Africa. You know, we have so many challenges, and sometimes we just need a sister on the other side to help us, tell us what to do, tell us how to get there and where to go. So really, mentorship is what I would say women really, really need. We don't have enough women who are supportive enough to help. So whoever reaches out to me, I make sure that I latch onto that person because I know I'm going to need their help. And so Christine, I'm going to need your help very soon to help me and help many other sisters out here. So whatever it is that we're working on, I'll just keep you posted, whether it's in the music field or female empowerment field. And if you ever need our help too, you just reach out to us. I mean, I would love to have you one day, if we could do a Zoom call with some of the women that I sit with, and you tell them some of the challenges that you faced getting into the media industry and what are the challenges that you face doing what you do, because I know so many people would love to, but they just don't know how. So I would love that.
Oh, excellent. We can definitely organize that. We will definitely organize that. No, Leanne, thank you so much for your time. This has been absolutely wonderful and such an honor and such a privilege to connect with a kindred spirit who is doing such amazing things in our beautiful, beautiful continent. And we just loving everything that you're doing, and we're sending you so much positive energy and so much support. We will have information about, you know, where people can, your links and everything once we get going. So in January of next year, we will be actively marketing and promoting our show. So that's when all of that kicks off. So we will have links to your website, links to your profile, links to your music and everything. Because part of this for us is, you know, I didn't know until I connected with you that you were a music artist. I never knew that. I didn't know until I connected with you that, you know, there was this amazing woman creating amazing music. And so part of it is also just letting people know. And we go to parties all the time, and just even playing your song and getting people like, well, who's that? Well, I can tell you who that is.
Thank you. That would be amazing.
And, you know, and I can be the smarty pants because my nieces always are introducing me to new and exciting music from Africa. I'm never introducing them to anything. So when I get off this call, guess what I'm doing? I'm getting on Spotify and looking for your song, and I'm texting it to them. And they're going to be like, who's that? I'm going to be like, well, I know her.
I'm one up on you this time. One up on you.
No, thank you, Leanne, so much. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. You're amazing, and keep doing what you're doing. We're so proud of you, and we really do salute you when we see you.
And have a great holiday. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Much
Bye.
love.
Bye.
Bye.